Hello and welcome to Saki Tech. So in today's video, I will do a full spec-by-spec comparison of the iPad Air versus the Samsung Galaxy Tab S 10.5 inches tablet. Now just to put things in perspective, the Air was released late in 2013 and the Tab S 10.5 inches tablet was released June 2014, and it happens to be the latest and fastest tablet from Samsung for now. So let's start with taking a look at the build quality of these leading tablets. iPad Air comes out on top in this category with its premium aluminum finish that most iPad owners appreciate. It's solid, it's shiny, and when you hold it in your hands, it feels like $1,000,000. The Samsung Galaxy Tab S has an identical build and design as the popular Samsung Galaxy S5 smartphone, and build material used is plastic. What you get is a perforated leather look and a rubberized feel, which ends up feeling easier to hold in your hands due to the better grip the plastic offers. Now the iPad, although it enjoys the superior build, also becomes slippery while holding due to its smooth metallic finish and could slip out of your hands easier than the Tab S. iPad does win quality-wise here. There's a clear-cut difference in actual build quality and raw feel in your hands. But I must comment that as far as actual looks go, I personally find them both well-designed and aesthetically pleasing. So let's take a look at the dimensions. The Tab S weighs 465 grams, whereas the iPad Air weighs 469 grams. There is a 4 grams of difference in weight. Now the Tab S is 6.98 inches wide and 9.73 inches high. It is only 0.26 inches thick, whereas the iPad is 6.6 inches wide, it's 9.4 inches high, and it is 0.29 inches in thickness. It is clear that the Tab S is the thinner and the lighter of the two, although one should mention that the difference is rather minuscule to make much of a difference for overall handling of either one of these. But the Tab S wins. Now let's take a look at the screen size and resolution. The Tab S sports a resolution of 2560 by 1600 pixels. It comes with a pixel density of 287 ppi, and the screen technology used is Super AMOLED display. The iPad Air has a screen resolution of 2048 by 1536 pixels, 264 pixels per inches, and it uses an IPS LCD displaying technology. In this department, Samsung comes out on top with the higher specs. It has the bigger screen, which means more screen real estate. It has higher resolution, higher screen pixels per inches, and better screen technology. Will the colors look more vibrant on the Samsung? Yes. Will you get brighter whites and deeper blacks and better contrast overall? Yes. Is the difference going to be too great? Probably not. Should it affect the buying decision? Probably not. Now we will take a look at the processor and the memory performance. So in this department, the Tab S has better specs than the iPad Air on paper. At the end of this video, I will run a processor and memory benchmark on both of these devices that should give us an idea between the difference in processing power between the two. But let's go ahead and spell the specifications out one by one. And just to be clear, there will be two versions of the Tab S, a Wi-Fi model and an LTE model. The one I'm showing you in this video is the Wi-Fi model, which comes with an Exynos octa-core processor. Octa means 8, so we're talking about 8 total processing cores. Not all of these cores are clocked at the same frequency. 4 of them are clocked at 1.9 gigahertz, and the other 4 of them are clocked at 1.3 gigahertz. And then we have 3 gigabytes of DDR3 RAM and a Mali GPU, which is the graphic processing unit. The LTE version of Galaxy S comes with a quad-core Snapdragon 800 processor clocked at 2.3 GHz and Adreno 330 graphics. iPad Air comes with a dual-core A7 processor clocked at 1.4 GHz with 1 GB of DDR3 RAM. The graphics processor is IMG Power VR. Now both these tablets start with 16 gigabytes of storage at $499. The Tab S comes with a micro SD slot which allows you to add as much as 128 gigabytes of extra storage if necessary. That is a very useful feature, especially for people who are media hogs. You can have more music, more videos, and more photos on the go. 128 gigabytes or even 64 gigabytes of extra storage is very, very, very useful. Next, let's talk about the software. As you know, software is how we actually interact with our tablets, so it is a very important comparison category. So the iPad runs on the latest version of iOS 7, which comes with some useful enhancements like the Control Center and the updated Notifications Center. The Samsung S, the Tab S, runs on the latest version of Android 4.4 with Samsung TouchWiz overlay plus their Magazine UX interface. The Magazine UX interface is a newly added tile-based interface that looks like a magazine onto which you can add widgets with current news, social media feeds, your calendar, and such, as you can see in the video. If you want to see the full Magazine UX coverage, see the description below for a link to a comprehensive review. It might help you in making a more solid decision. As for the TouchWiz overlay, it's simply the same as always. You get a bunch of home screens onto which you can add app shortcuts or add fancy widgets. Now, I do side with Samsung. Its operating system is simply much more appealing and useful to me than iOS, which is virtually uncustomizable as opposed to Android. With Android, you can tweak the looks of your device to meet some very specific needs. I can have live widgets keeping me up to date with relevant information such as news and the weather. I can move these live widgets around. I can empty my home screen completely if I want to show off a gorgeous background picture and such. With iOS, all you get is a static lock screen and a static home screen populated with apps and folders. As far as customization goes, all you can do is change your wallpaper. With the Tab S, you also get a superb multitasking where you can have two apps running in real time, side by side, and even being able to transfer information back and forth between the two apps. For instance, you can copy some text on the one app and paste it into the other app. In iOS 7, for now, there is a dream. In iOS 8, which is to be released soon or may already have been released if you're watching this video late after its publishing date, there's news that multitasking might become possible, but it remains to be seen how functionally sound it is going to be. Additionally, iOS 8 will not bring any major visual or customization changes. As for overall smoothness and fluidity, Android with TouchWiz and iOS are both very smooth. However, there was occasional stutter while working with Samsung TouchWiz, which simply doesn't exist on iOS. So you will get some lag on the Samsung, but you're not going to get any lag on the iOS 7 or 8. Another important thing to note is that the apps from the App Store on iOS are definitely better designed, better looking, and better optimized. Though we have to make a clear distinction here. Samsung comes with built-in functionality that is exceptionally useful, such as the multitasking and ultra customization features. But when it comes to apps from the store, iOS App Store simply offers better apps as opposed to the Play Store apps and better games. Up next is the camera. I have never used a camera on a tablet that I ever owned, whether that was an iPad or an Android tablet. But here are the specs for those of you who actually care. iPad Air has a rear-facing 5-megapixel iSight camera and a 1.2 megapixel front-facing camera, which they also call the FaceTime camera. The Tab S has an 8-megapixel rear-facing camera with a flash and a 2-megapixel front-facing camera. Both devices are capable of recording video on 1080p using the rear cameras, but only Samsung can record 1080p using the front camera. The iPad will only do 720p. I'd say that the Tab S takes the win here, but like I said, to me, camera on a tab doesn't matter, but for you, it may be a different story. Next, let's take a look at the battery. The Tab S has a 7900 mAh battery, which will translate to a full day of generous use without any problems. Samsung is advertising their battery life for up to 9 hours of internet use, up to 12 hours of video playtime, and up to 139 hours of music playtime. On the iPad spec sheets, it says that the iPad has a 32.4 watt-hour battery, which is a different unit of measurement. Apple is advertising their battery life as up to 10 hours of a combination of surfing the web with Wi-Fi, watching video, listening to music, and all that stuff. But basically, both tablets translate to a full day of generous use. And finally, I want to mention that the Samsung Tab S in fact has a fingerprint sensor, but the iPad Air does not have a fingerprint sensor. Now let's move on to the benchmarks and see which one of these guys performs faster as far as processor and memory go. Alright, so first up, let's make sure nothing is running in the background. So let's close all the applications. Let's go to Task Manager. Nothing is running, so we have a clear slate. And let's make sure nothing is on the iPad. So let's get rid of all these applications. And then we will launch the Geekbench benchmarking tool, which measures the processor and memory performance using real-life stress tests. Okay? And of course, you can go to their websites to see how their benchmarks work and get some more information regarding this benchmarking tool, Geekbench 3. Alright, so the iPad is done. On the left, you have a single core performance index, and on the right, you have a multi-core performance index. So let's wait for the Samsung to get done too, and then we can compare the difference in speed and power. Alright, the Samsung single core index is 925, but the multi-core index is higher at 2780. Alright, so even though the single core performance on the iPad is in fact higher than the Samsung Tab S, one can say that the overall power of these devices, processing power that is similar, because most applications do use multi-core. Okay, so I would say that this is not a big deciding factor that the iPad has a faster single core performance. Mostly I want to look at the multi-core performances, and in this case they're quite similar. Alright, so that brings us to the end of this video. Go ahead and subscribe to my channel for more videos to come. Give me a thumbs up if you liked this video, and also you can go ahead and connect with me socially on Google+, Facebook, and Twitter, for which all the links are in the description below. Thank you again, and I'll see you the next time. And if you have any questions, comments, concerns, just throw them down in the comments section below.